You're just in time this Thanksgiving week for a factoid feast from Timothy P. Brown of FootballArchaeology.com as he talks about some footwear and a great story from football history. Tim's coming up in just a moment to tell us all about it.
This is the Pigskin Daily History Dispatch, a podcast that covers the anniversaries of American football events throughout history. Your host, Darren Hayes, is podcasting from America's North Shore to bring you the memories of the gridiron, one day at a time.
Hello, my football friends. This is Darren Hayes of PigskinDispatch.com. Welcome once again to the Pig Pen, your portal to positive football history. And today is Tuesday. And what we do on Tuesdays is talk to our friend Timothy P. Brown of FootballArchaeology.com. Tim, welcome back to the Pig Pen.
Hey, Darren. Looking forward to chatting. I don't have anything clever to say to you before we get started.
Well, I'm here. I've got a knife and spoon. I'm putting a bib on because I'm hungry for some football information.
Ooh.
And what better way to do that is by your original factoid feast and your tidbits.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that.
Yeah. So yeah. I was waiting for you to do that, but I had to do the bad joke.
I couldn't come up with it. I've lost all my creativity.
Now, Tim, why don't you tell us just a little bit about what the factoid feasts are?
So the factoid feast, I've explained in previous episodes that as I'm doing research on topic A, I inevitably come up on some other topic that's in an adjoining article, or in the article where I find the information I'm looking for, there's some other tale that's told. And so I have a way of cataloging all these and just putting a list together of the things that I find and say, this is one I ought to write about. And so, I've probably got 1,000 things on that list, with about 100 where I've actually done some additional research on it. But I get these, I get blocked. There's certain things where there's just not enough stuff there for a story, for a full article. And so at one point, and actually it was back when I first did Factoid Feast #1. I just said, okay, I'm just going to take 3 little items that don't comprise a full story and just say, here's a little factoid, and that's it. There's no conclusion. There's no moral. It's just here's a little story that maybe you'll enjoy.
But I think that's the beauty of them, because it sort of changes up the rhythm of, a great story on football, great story on football, great story on football, and then these 3 little partials that sometimes they just leave you hanging a little bit. Sometimes you just sit there and you're like, wow, that really happened. They did that.
Yeah.
And that's what's kind of cool about them. And especially getting 3 of them all at once. That's a great thing to have. So,
well, should we talk about the first one?
Yeah, please do.
So this one, I called it the agony of the cleat. So if you're old enough to remember Wide World of Sports, there was, the introduction with Vinko Bogataj sliding down the ski jump, and the narrator said, "in the agony of defeat." So that's how the clever agony of the cleat came in. But anyways, it's just kind of one of those funny things I came across. It was an article from 1953, but what it described was that during World War II, there were all these guys in the military, and virtually every base had football programs, and they had kind of a varsity program that went and played other bases, but a lot, generally they also had fairly significant, what, for want of a better term, intramural football. So the guys from this regiment or whatever it may be, would play one another. And so all those guys needed football gear. And so the Navy, somebody in Navy purchasing was responsible for buying all that gear and then, shipping it out to all the different places. So somewhere along the line, there was a guy in the Navy, some purchasing agent whose name we don't know, who ordered several 100,000 cleats. So, and now I'm not talking about cleats, sometimes people use the term cleat for shoe, but back then, the cleats, we didn't have molded bottom cleats, shoes, I should say. You had, the football shoes had screw-on cleats that, they wore down, so then you'd replace it, or if you were playing on a wet field, you might put in longer cleats, those kinds of things. So they were just screw-on, screw-off cleats. So, but somewhere along the line, purchasing agent bought 500, well, he probably bought more, but in 1953, the Navy realized that they had 500,000 football cleats sitting in a warehouse in Iowa. So, and it was in Ottumwa, which is where Radar from MASH was from. So, they finally said, okay, we probably should get rid of these things. And so they just donated them to the local school district, to Ottumwa, public schools. Now, what they did with 500,000 cleats,
every kid wore their cleats to school every day.
No, that would have made a lot of noise. The clickety clackety down the sidewalk would have been bothersome. But anyways, it's just one of those goofy stories where it's like, who knows if they consolidated all these uniforms into one place after the war, or how that all happened, but somehow they ended up with 500,000 cleats sitting in storage. So hopefully people made good use of them, and
imagine what they'd be worth today if somebody had those in their collection. Probably,
yeah. Well,
especially with the story behind it.
You might be able to get some money for the first 6 or 7.
Yeah, probably.
But it's that 490th, 490,000th one.
That sort of devalues them a little bit, doesn't it?
Kind of a glut in the market.
Right. Oh, very, very cool story. That's something you don't hear about every day, and is football related. That's makes it really great. So
yeah, my site is footballarchaeology.com. So just go out there and either just hit the site whenever you want to, or subscribe. And if you subscribe, every time I publish an article, you'll get an email with the contents of that article in there. So yeah, that's the best way to do it. And let the emails pile up if you want to, or whatever works for you.
All right. Well, Tim, we really appreciate you coming on and sharing this great information with us, and sharing your site with us, and letting us get into minds and the history of football. And we'd love to talk to you again next week about it.
Yeah, look forward to it. Thanks, Darren.
That's all the football history we have today, folks. Join us back tomorrow for more of your football history. We invite you to check out our website, pigskindispatch.com, not only to see the daily football history, but to experience positive football with our many articles on the good people of the game, as well as our own football comic strip, Cleat Marks Comics. Pigskindispatch.com is also on social media outlets, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and don't forget the Pigskin Dispatch YouTube channel to get all of your positive football news and history. Special thanks to the talents of Mike and Gene Monroe, as well as Jason Neff, for letting us use their music during our podcast.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com.